Hi guys, it's Deanna from Garden's Glory, and today I wanted to start out showing you what I've been busy doing. And I already have 2 trays seeded, and then I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to do some more seeding, and then I'm going to kind of explain to you also how I decide what I seed inside and what goes into winter sowing, because I also do winter sowing, which works out fairly well for me on a few things. I kind of have an idea now what works out well and what doesn't. All right, so I'm going to turn this around and I want you to see what I've been working on. Okay, so I seeded these about 3 days ago, and I basically am shocked at how this Browalia has come up. So Browalia is a very beautiful blue, I'll put a picture up if I can do that, a very beautiful blue flower, and it does well in the shade. So it's kind of, you know, interesting to have a good flower in the shade. So the seeds are super tiny, which is why I have so many in there. So I will obviously have to thin that, but I'm gonna let them get a little bigger before I start thinning to make sure I know I have some good ones that are gonna last. The rest of these are pink Lysianthus, and I'll put the exact one up for you, and a white Lysianthus. So these are gonna be for the wedding. So excited about that. And if you don't know, Lysianthus are the really slowest things to grow, and I've never done them before, so it could be very interesting. Also, just so you know, these lights I get from Lowe's, and they're only $19.99. I have one right here. They're so awesome. They're in their light section, and they do sell out fast when we get to this time of the year. But anyway, these are great lights. The only problem I've had with them is when you don't have a solid surface on top of your shelf, the water dripping down and then shorting out the light. So I have had some trouble with that. Now, while I'm here, they're also on a heat mat, and the heat mat looks like this. It says, oh no, that's not it. It's called Seed Factor. And those warm up really nicely. They stay on all the time until everybody is up, and then, or mostly everybody is up, and then I turn off the heat mat. I also have these domes, have been on them, helping to keep in the moisture. So this tray is kind of an experiment tray. I was kind of excited to do this. It is a gold agastache, which I only think had a few of those. It is a Rudbeckia Goldstrom from my own plant. Purple coneflower, again from my own plant. Pink chiffon Rose of Sharon from my own plant. Powwow Echinacea, again from my own plant. Now, none of these, you know, I'm not going to sell them. I'm not doing anything like that. It's really just an experiment. I honestly don't even have room for a lot of this in my garden. So I will grow them and maybe just give a couple away, what I don't put in my garden. But honestly, I'm just not really counting on a whole lot. I just kind of wanted to do it for fun and see what seeds are sterile, what aren't. It's just kind of a little experiment. All right, so now we're upstairs, and first, I think I want to start off by showing you this. Look at this arrangement. That's so pretty. So the lady that I've talked about before that goes to my church, that runs our flower program and does it for, you know, shut-ins and people that are going through hard things. Well, I had talked to her about the fact that I was having some sadness over my mom and it being the first Christmas without her, and they brought me those. Isn't that so sweet? So that really cheered me up. Her name is Della, and she's really sweet. All right, guys, so what I want to show you now is I want to show you how I do my seeds, and the seeds that we're going to start with today are all of my geraniums. So I have Maverick Violet, Maverick Rose, Maverick Quicksilver, Maverick Pink, and this one is actually just an extra. This is a lithianthus that I'm gonna do later. So these are what is gonna go in my tray, and I'm gonna change the camera so you can see close up how I do this, and then we'll have our third tray ready to go. So this is what I use. These Jiffy pellets are really nice because you don't have the mess of dealing with, you know, the potting soil. Also, I like these because you can actually buy the refill box, which means you don't have to keep buying more plastic, which is super nice. So basically you just buy the little box, keep these, and then you don't have to keep buying more plastic. So basically I'm gonna open this up. If you've never used these before, they're little pellets with a little hole in the middle, and then like a little gauzy piece around the outside. And then what you do is you just plug them into the hole of the tray like that, with the whole side up. And the fun thing about the geraniums is that they really grow quickly. Excuse me. And they give you a lot of satisfaction right off the bat. So I'm glad to have them. And then also they do bloom, and that means that soon I will have a ton of blooms in the basement, which I enjoy that too. And it's also nice to start early because, you know, then you have something that looks like a full size plant that's blooming when spring comes around. Now normally I follow fairly closely the time frame that's given on the seed packet, usually on when to start your seeds. But as you can probably tell, I get antsy, I want to get going, and so I do like to start things, some things early. Now, like my coleus, because coleus is going to get really big pretty quickly, I don't want to start that too early because I don't want to have to up pot it too many times. But these geraniums, I did up pot once last year and they did real well. And I'm really looking forward to having some color early on in the season. And I'm looking forward to not having to spend $7 per 4-inch container. And I think in my last video I said I wasn't sure if I was gonna have a sale. And I'm thinking I may not. I think this year I just wanna see, I may do it just for my friends and family, but I think other than that, I wanna see what it's like to just have full access to all the plants that I grow and really be able to make my yard be something, you know, really full of color and spectacular this year. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not 100%, but last year when I had my sale, that's when I would have had a sale for my garage sale, and I didn't feel like I could handle doing both. So this year I really want to have a garage sale, so like I said, I may skip the flower sale this time. All right, we almost got this tray filled. 3 more. All right, so next what I'm gonna do is I take about a 1.25 cups and I fill it with warm water. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna just kind of go down the row, giving them each some water. And then usually, I guess it takes a little bit more because usually that works for me to get 1 layer of water on. So what I do is after I do this, you let them sit, and what will happen is slowly, this would be really fun to do with kids because slowly they start to puff up, and I'm sure the kids would really enjoy watching them do that. Now I will say, I know there's some people that are against peat, and these are made out of peat. They're called peat pellets. I honestly have done some research and I didn't quite understand I didn't get why it was an issue. But anyway, this has always worked the best for me. But I guess if someone could explain to me what the, major core issue is about the peat, I would, come up with something different. But all the years I've been doing that, I've really enjoyed it. Okay, so what you'll notice is that you will notice that the water is starting to go down and the little pellets are starting to come up. So once that water gets a little bit more soaked in, then you'll do another round, which it turned out to be almost 2 cups. And you'll put that on top, and then you'll let that all soak in and let them raise. And then you'll go in and do it one more time. So I do 3 rounds of about 2 cups warm water, and that will get them puffed up to where you need it. And then the next step will be that we open them up, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, can you see the difference? So this one hasn't absorbed all of its water yet. It's still kind of got some whitish to it. But then over here, see how dark these are? See how much more puffy those are? So these came from a different box. So for whatever reason, they're puffing up faster, taking in the water faster. But see how they are puffing up. So now what I want to show you the next step, which is opening those little baggies, basically is what's on top of that, and I'll show you that so you can see what I'm talking about. Once you get those open, then we'll put the seeds in. So they've all absorbed the water now. They're all probably 3 times the size that they were. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open these little, wish I could come up with a good name for them. They're like, oh gosh, I can't think of what that would be called. Tell you what, aging does a number. So what I'm doing right now is I'm opening these little bags, and I just kind of pull it on 4 different little areas. So I pull it on this side, pull it on this side, and then I go on the other side and the other side, and that gets it open and ready to put the seed in. It's almost like a little harvest cloth, I guess. Maybe, how about that? It definitely has a distinct smell. So once we get these open, what I normally do then is I read my seed packets and find out what the depth of each seed needs to be. So obviously, since we're doing all geraniums, they're all gonna go at the same depth. And piece of wood. And one thing, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but one thing I learned was that with seeds, it seems like the smaller the seed, the more you want to put it to the surface. So some seeds need light to germinate and some seeds don't. So if it's not on your seed packet, I would recommend that you get in there to Google and find out what depth do I plant geraniums. And so if it needs light to germinate, you're basically just going to put the seed on the top and maybe just give it a little press. And when we get closer to the end here, I'll show you what I do to help those seeds kind of settle in without putting them too deep. All right, we're getting there. So these seeds that I'm using are from Swallowtail seeds, and they, like I said, are the Maverick series. And it does say on the package that you want to press into soil and barely cover. So when I have that, what I do is I just gently kind of stick my finger. There's a kind of a pre-drilled hole kind of there. I just kind of barely stick my finger there and rough it up just a little bit so that the stuff isn't quite so compacted. Like some of them are really compacted. I kind of try to loosen that up. So just kind of rub the top off with your nail, or you could use like a pencil point or something like that to kind of loosen this up. Now obviously if I was planting something that needed to be like 1/4 of an inch deep, or you know, 1/2 inch deep or something like that, then I would kind of do an actual hole and cover it up. But since we are just barely going to cover, we won't do that. Now another thing, if you're worried about fungus gnats, which everything's going to be in the basement, so don't really worry about it that much. But if you're worried about fungus gnats, you could put, instead of covering it back over with the dirt, you could put a fine layer of vermiculite. I've also done that. The vermiculite counts as having a little bit of a coverage, but not too much. I figured out why those other ones puffed up so fast and these didn't. It's because the little bag part was not over top of the dirt. So the water was able to just kind of swell it right up versus having the bag that kind of limits it from puffing up very much. Okay, so now what I usually do is I go ahead and wash my hands and dry them so that all of the seeds aren't sticking to my sticky fingers. So these guys now need some tags so we know what we're doing. I went ahead, I keep these tags that come from the original kit that you buy that has the dome and the tray and the pellets. I keep these every year, and so what I usually do is put it in the start of the row, and then I put the next one will go where I start that next row. Now with these packets, I have 10 in each, and I end up having 80 seeds. So I'll probably just throw the last 5 somewhere else. So let's get started and see how this works out. So the first one we're gonna do is the Maverick Pink Geranium. Oh my. See how tiny those are? That kind of goes to show you like what I was saying. The smaller they are, the more likely to be more surface sown. All right, so what I'm gonna do, the nice thing is they are yellow, so they will be, oh, I think they're coated. See that? They're coated so that you can see them easier. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put one on the top and just do one on each. And then I'll show you, oops, I got 2 on that one. I'll show you how I cover it. And if I've got it in there a little too deep, I will adjust it. Okay, so I have another package of that, so let's get our other package of pink. Okay. I don't know, I'd be really interested to hear if any of you guys have ever been able to get seed off of your petunias. I tried kind of watching, or not petunias, I'm sorry, geranium. I tried watching where they were making seed heads, but I didn't really see where it was at, so I haven't had any luck with that. Oops, got 2 in there. Okay, so now here's what I'm gonna do. Since we don't want them very deep, I'm just gonna gently, just kind of barely rake a little bit of dirt back over that, just barely. Okay. Last year I had really good luck with that. So hopefully this year I will too. Just barely, barely rake that dirt back over that seed. All right, guys, they're covered. Now let's count 10 or 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So our new one's gonna start right here. So I'm gonna take the violet, Maverick Violet Geranium tag and put it right there, and I'll start and go down the line from there. Okay. I'm assuming these are going to look the same. Yep. Last year was the first time that I did geraniums, and boy, did I just love it. It was so nice to have geraniums blooming in the basement. Oh, it starts there, sorry. And oh, maybe I did confuse myself. I think it starts right here, actually. Okay. One in each. Okay. The funny thing is I really thought that when I started doing all these seeds downstairs that I would quit buying flowers. Yeah, that was a joke. So here's the thing is that I realized, I was like, well, wait a minute, I was growing things that you couldn't really get in the nurseries or, you know, at your big box stores. And I was like, you need to grow the staples, because even though you're growing this fun and interesting stuff, you're still spending a ton of money on staples like geraniums and petunias and impatiens. And so that is my goal, is to do more of those things that I'm going to get every year no matter what, and then do maybe a little less of those things that are a little bit more exotic. All right, so we're going to lightly cover. Now that I'm thinking about it, when I was talking before about Della, there's a whole group of ladies that are on this group, and we're named the Giving Gardeners. And it's just a really neat group of ladies. And I think that, you know, what they're doing really, you know, goes probably a longer way than we know. When someone's, you know, down in the dumps, or when someone's having surgery, or, you know, had a baby or whatever, it's really so nice to have someone come in and do something like that for you. The next one we're doing is Maverick Quicksilver. If we get this done right, I should have 5 extra, but we'll see. The biggest problem is once I up pot these, I don't want to mark every single one, and so they get kind of clumped together, and honestly, until they bloom, I don't really know what they are. But maybe this year I'll figure out a better way to do that so that doesn't happen. Love to know what you guys are growing this year, if you do seeds, and if you enjoy it. All right, we're gonna just barely cover. Sounds like my music ran out. All right, so that does it for those. And we just have one more set, which would be the Maverick Rose. So we'll go ahead and do those. And we're done. Yeah, I think somehow I managed to mess this up. Because I feel like I had, this is a 70, oh, it's a 70 count, not 75. That's what it is. So we are gonna have some kind of doubled up here. And that's okay, because you know what I'll do? I'll double them up, and then I will just, when they, you know, when I get 2 of them, I'll just go ahead and transplant them, and that'll be just fine. That coating really comes undone pretty easily. Okay, so that's that for that. And then we have, I believe, one more. And I'll just go ahead and double some up. I really enjoy going back and thinning. To me, that's fun. When they're big enough and they're thick enough to like thin them out, and then decide, you know, if you have a gazillion of them, to maybe just throw the ones away that you thinned out, or if you really have a gazillion, just to cut them, you know, mow the extra ones down instead of you know, trying to save them. I just enjoy that little process. Anything that I can do kind of messing around with my flowers really just kind of soothes the soul. Okay, so there we go. So now we're just gonna lightly cover these, and when we get 2 or 3 in one place, not a big deal. We'll separate them, and I'll definitely save these. So if I get 2 or 3 in one, we'll just pot them, and no big deal. When these come up, they're just the cutest little plant babies. All right, guys. So now, final thing is they go downstairs on a heat mat with their cover on. They'll stay on the heat mat until until most of them have germinated. And then at that time, I will take them off the heat mat and take off the dome. And so, yeah, so now we have 3 trays started, and it feels really good to have all of my geraniums done. I love that. I'm excited about it because they're foolproof. Like when you try these other things that are kind of like random, especially I find that I like doing one tray of something, because when you do like one of this, one of this, one of that, one, they don't all like the same water, and they don't come up the same time, and you can't take the dome off at the right time. So I really like it better when I just do one of something in the tray. Like the ones that I did in the basement that are my experiment ones, I'm like, since they're just an experiment, I didn't really care. And plus I don't want that much of one thing, but I do want bunches of geranium. All right, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you learned something. And I think our next video is gonna be winter sowing, because I do that too. All right, guys, talk to you soon.